Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with our history chapter, Tracing Changes Through Thousand Years. Now, why are we studying the changes made in the past years? Because only by studying the changes that are made in the past years, we will be able to know or judge what facilities are being provided to us today which were not there in the olden times. How people spent their life in the olden times. What were the means of recreation for them? How did they cook their food? How did they travel from one place to another? So now, let us witness the time period of the changes. Till class 6th, we have studied about the ancient history. The history which dealt about the period of the ancient time. Now, in class 7th, we'll discuss about the time period of 8th to 18th century, which is precisely known as the medieval period of Indian history. And nowadays, the period in which we are living is known as the modern era or the modern period. Now, what were the changes in the time period from 8th to 18th century? There were many changes, but the first and the foremost change was in the way of making maps. Initially, maps were in Arabic language. In 1154 CE. The Arabic map was made by an Arab geographer, Al-Idrisi. He marked all the places in Arabic. Why? Because he himself was an Arab person. According to him, Sri Lanka was where we would expect North India to be. Because according to him, North India was where today is South India, and South India was where today we would expect North India to be. So according to him, North India or Sri Lanka was in North India, that is on the top of the map, because according to him, North and South were at vice versa positions. The next map was made by a French cartographer in 1720s. First of all, let me explain you who a cartographer is. A cartographer is a person who makes maps. This map was in English as he was a French cartographer. In this map, North India and South India were at the places where we mark it today. So, we can also say that today's map is a gift from the 1720s French cartographers, as each place is in its original place as we see in the maps today. They were not only the changes in the maps, there were changes in the names of the places, names of the terms. So, there were lots of changes in the terminologies as well. Now, what are terminologies? Terminology means the terms which are used to describe a particular thing or things. Terms had different meaning in the past as compared to the medieval and modern times. Each term was used differently in the olden times as what it is used today. Let us take the term Hindustan now. What do you understand by the term Hindustan nowadays? If somebody asks us, what do you mean by the term Hindustan? We would probably answer that Hindustan means our country India. Because what we have learned is that Hindustan refers or is another name for our country, India. According to Minhaj-e-Siraj, a chronicler who wrote in Persian, he meant by the term Hindustan the areas of Punjab and Haryana and the lands between Ganga and Yamuna. He used the term in a political sense for the lands that were a part of the dominions of the Delhi Sultan, excluding South India. Now, what does the term dominions of Delhi Sultan mean? Dominions of Delhi Sultan means that the people who were residing in the empire of Delhi Sultan. But he has not taken South India into consideration anywhere in this term. According to him, Hindustan did not include the southern part of India. Next we come to now the 14th century. Earlier we discussed about Minhaj-e-Siraj, who was a chronicler of the 13th century. Now next is the 14th century. Amir Khusro used the word Hind similarly to describe the geographical and cultural entity, somewhat similar to how Babur had used in the early 16th century. Now, who was Amir Khusro? Amir Khusro was a poet of the 14th century, and in his poetry he has described the term Hind. Next, we come to the early 16th century. We all know who Babur was, a Mughal emperor. Babur used the term Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. Now, what does the word fauna and the culture means? He used to describe the beauty, the culture of the religion of the people living in his subcontinent. Babur has always described the beauty of India as Hindustan. According to Babur, the term Hindustan did not carry the political and national meaning with what we associate it today. Of course, Hindustan today means our nation to us, which it did not meant in the earlier time period. The next terminology is the word foreigner. Now, what does it click in our mind if we hear the word foreigner? Nowadays, if we hear the word foreigner, probably we will understand the meaning as somebody who does not belong to our country. That is the definition of the terminology foreigner of the modern time or of the modern era. Because we understand by the term foreigner is a person who's not an Indian, who does not belong to our country. But in the medieval period, the term foreigner meant that any stranger who appeared in a given village, someone who did not belong to a particular society or culture. That society may be of different people belonging to different religion and different culture, but because they were of the same society, they were not foreigners to each other. But a person residing in a different village may be of the same religion or the same culture of these villagers, but still he was a foreigner as he did not belong to their village. In the same way, let's listen to an example. A city dweller, he might regard a forest dweller as a foreigner. But two peasants living in the same society or village were not foreigners to each other, even though they may belong to different culture, religious or caste background. Here, the social status had nothing to do with the word foreigner. They were just bothered about the person who was residing in the same village. I hope, children, you all are understanding what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to explain you. If you have any doubts, you can consult your worksheets which are added. A small paragraph, a small explanation is also given in the worksheets along with your question answers and your MCQs, whatever are given. Please complete your worksheets. Hope to meet you all soon. Till then, stay indoors and stay safe. Thank you, children.